We are back. It began with Bridgegate and it ends with a tax evasion. In between, we saw a former governor convicted of fraud, a congressman ousted for cocaine, and so much, much more. It was a year of scandal and even some sleaze in American politics. So it's only appropriate that today, Republican Congressman Michael Grimm of New York announced he will resign after pleading guilty last week to tax fraud. Despite facing a 20-count indictment, Grimm won re-election to the House this November. What does this say about our leaders? More importantly, what does it say about how we, the voters, choose them? We're back with the round table, Paul, Sabrina, and Charles. What does it say? How can you be indicted, run for election, win, be convicted, and go, oh, yeah, I guess I should resign? How does that happen?
I think it's funny when you say it's been a year of sleaze in politics. I'm like, wait, and what year was not a year of sleaze in politics? I mean, it's like, you know, yeah. The fact of the matter is we have an entire industry built to make people forget about the bad things about you and remember the things that they want to like about you.
And to be fair, when Congressman Grimm was running for re-election, he maintained his innocence throughout his campaign, and only now is he pleading guilty, so he was misleading voters. And I think one of the things that this speaks to, though, is just how polarized the environment is at this moment, as well as the impact of gerrymandering when you're looking at House seats, because this seat is extremely Republican. So when faced with a scandal-ridden congressman or a Democrat, voters in that district are still going to choose the scandal-ridden congressman. And that goes for Trey Radel, too, in the special election. They picked a Democrat over they picked a Republican over the Democrat who was put forward to replace him. That was the congressman, of course, who was found purchasing cocaine.
But one of the frustrations in all of this, though, it's not just, you know, the big stuff like the federal investigation and tax fraud and all of that. But it's also the little stuff, even in states, small states like Virginia, where we saw former Governor Bob McDonnell and his wife were convicted in September on corruption charges for accepting more than $165,000 in gifts and loans while in office, including one very photogenic Rolex watch. A jury found them guilty of taking those bribes in exchange for political favors. And again, it goes to what I was just saying about, it's not just about, you know, what we see happening at the federal level. This was a problem that even we had to deal with at the state level with our state officials. What's going on in our politics where our political leadership feel that they can do these things, engage in these behaviors, right, and it's okay? I
mean, you got sort of three trends going on here. I mean, the first trend is it's really troubling how you have sort of this precipitous drop in confidence in government, whether it's state, local, or federal level. And you've been seeing that trend, especially it's been very pronounced over the past, like, what, 30 years. So you got that trend going on. You also have this trend of politicians trying to be the anti-politicians. And so they know that voters have very short attention spans. They're not paying attention to kind of the nuance and all the details and all their scandals and stuff about their characters. So they feel like, yeah, I'm going to Washington, or I'm going to the State House to fix it. You know, and so they get caught, you know, voters eat into that. You know, they sort of feed into that. And then the sort of third trend that's going on there also as well is just, you know, voters just sort of feeling attracted to authentic types of politicians or authentic types of candidates. People who seem real,
even when they prove themselves, Paul, not to be authentic, as in the case of
Grimm, flawed. You see what I'm saying?
They re-elect them anyway.
Yeah, but see, my argument is that part of the problem is money. Is that the fact of the matter is there are billions of dollars, literally billions of dollars being spent in campaigns and in politics, and every member of Congress, every member of elected office has to go around asking folks for a lot of money. Yeah. It invites corruption. It doesn't mean that everybody is corrupt. It means it invites corruption, because if you come to me with a check in your hand and you come to me without a check in your hand, I have to pay more attention to you.
But wait a minute, these guys were getting checks, and they were still taking Rolex watches, and they were still doing the whole tax evasion. So
how does whole sense of entitlement? I'm entitled to get this check. I'm entitled to the Rolex.
Yeah, I don't know if a donor writing me a check and I then walk away feeling entitled to go get a Rolex from another donor.
Yeah, because you can make the argument that money's been in politics forever. It's been in there for ages.
Yeah,
I mean, since the Romans.
It's nothing new.
It's nothing new.
It's nothing new, but what is new is what's happening to our political leaders. Mm-hmm. And what is more disturbing to me is how accepting the voters seem to be of it. Now, we get, you know, we feign outrage and we get indignant at times, but as you said earlier, Paul, you know, this whole system is designed to help us forget
Right.
So we can then go on and ignore that bad behavior and get ready for the next level of bad
Sabrina was
behavior.
pointing out, right, there's no other candidate in some of these races,
I
right?
think
Who
it
else do you
does,
vote for?
it does come back to the fact that at the end of the day, a district is either so heavily red or so heavily blue. Even if you are looking at the state level, Democrats had a bad year across the country in 2014. So you had, for example, even if there wasn't a scandal in a governor's race like Maryland, you still saw a Democrat lose for the first time in decades.
Which was a great race, by the way. I must congratulations to Larry Hogan and keeping it clean. Thank you, Paul Singer, Sabrina Siddiqui, and Charles Ellison. We'll be right back right after this.